There will now be an opportunity for silent prayer or meditation. Thank you. Please be seated. Can you help me? Excuse me. Can you assist me here? This is stool. Order, honorable members. The only item for today on today's order paper is questions addressed to the President. Honorable members, members may press the talk button on their desk if they wish to ask a supplementary question. The first question has been asked by the Honorable N.R. Bengu. The Honorable, the President.
Sihlalo somlomo ohloniphekile kancane njengani yakwethu asixabani.
Ngicela umongameli athathe isitulo. Hlala khuluma ke mama, angikwazi ukuthi ufuna ukukhuluma ngani.
Okay, ngiyabonga ke ngibonga ukuhlonipha kwakho somlomo omuhle noma ngabeli wethu eSouth Africa ukuthi asihlonipha uhlala phansi. Bengifuna ukuzwa la njengomuntu osuka le kude kwaZulu Natal emaphepheni la angiboni la kuvela khona ukuthi umangameli njengoba sila eParliament sihloniphekile nawe uyasihlonipha naye siyamhlonipha ukuthi uthini ngale mali yaseNkandla uthi uzoyikhokha nini imali yabantu bayentela na ngoba lo mbuzo uyinkinga uyafuna uyabuzwa asazophendwa asilwi lapha wena kuphela mangasasitshele ukuthi akangene kulokho nje ukuthi izokhokha nini imali yaseNkandla ngoba uthula umadonsela uma wathi washo wathi ngicela uhloniphe umangameli akakhokhe enye yayo yalezi mali yilapho ngiyabonga akukona ukuhloniphana lokho. Ngicela umongameli aqhubeke.
Speaker, on a point of order.
No honorable Dlozi. Honorable Dlozi. Honorable Dlozi, please take your seat. We are having questions to the President, and that's what I'm asking the President to start doing, to answer questions.
Now, no, Speaker, I'm rising.
As agreed, as according to the rules of this House.
No, isn't it the
Honorable Dlozi, please take your seat.
Honorable Speaker, I'm rising on a point of order.
No, Honorable Dlozi, there's no point of order about the fact that we are having questions to the President this afternoon.
The tradition, Honorable Speaker, is that you have to hear my order. I'm rising.
Honorable Dlozi, the tradition is that we have the business of the
you
day.
See, Honorable Speaker, Parliament has been rendered useless by the President. The President has rendered our Parliament useless.
Honorable
the President doesn't take Parliament serious.
Honorable
the President comes here, makes a mockery of our questions, and he's let to go.
Honorable
he has come back again, and we have no guarantee that he's not going to be making a mockery of the Nkandla question. And the reality is, we can't engage in forms of speech that are empty. We can't engage in forms of accountability that are empty, that are disrespected by the President. Mam Kaula says, the last time President was here, made a mockery of a very honest process of asking about Nkandla in as far as the Public Protector's report is concerned. Let's respond to that first. As long as the President does not speak to that question, he is is efficiently undermining anything we are doing in this house. And I'm rising on a point of order because we must be assisted.
I have not recognized you on a point of order.
Because you won't recognize. You don't want to recognize me. You don't want to recognize me. I asked, recognize me on a point of order. You don't want to recognize me.
Honorable Chief.
So what must happen?
Honorable Speaker.
President Zuma must not engage with us. He doesn't take this parliament seriously. He doesn't take the mandate of the people of this country seriously. He must pay back the money. He must tell us the date and time. Or else we're just going to be ridiculed. And the other side laughs as if we're in some Trevor Noah show here. He ridicules this parliament. That is where we must start.
Honorable Shibambu, you are the chief whip of the EFF.
Yes.
Your member is on his feet and you rise. What kind of order is that, Honorable Shibambu? Honorable Shibambu, Honorable Shibambu, I am not going to allow you people from the EFF to have this kind of disruption this afternoon.
Want accountability. You must answer us on when.
Honorable Shibambu, there's a question paper.
We want a decision.
There's a rule about submitting questions, and we have the questions for today in front of us on the question paper.
But he's undermining
Honorable
this
Shibambu, take your seat. Take your seat, Honorable Shibambu.
Back the money.
Honorable Chief,
we want clarity on him answering the question on paying back the money. That is what we're looking for. There's an instruction about paying the money and it's not done so.
Honorable Chief Whip.
Honorable Speaker, the rule book that Honorable Josie is showing specifically prescribes.
Point of order.
So it means we should not speak.
I'm still listening to a point of order here, Honorable Member.
The rule of anticipation.
No, Honorable Speaker, there was a point of order here by Nkandla, and you did not recognize it. Why is it special that his point of order rings supreme?
Why
you must first recognize the first point of order.
No,
you are not special. What do you mean you are not special? You are not recognized a member here.
You are not going to command nobody here.
The member stood up first on the point of order.
Honorable
You can't tell me to sit down.
I tell you.
You can't tell me to sit down.
I tell you to sit down.
I will never sit down. I don't take instructions from you. And you are not going to be recognized under a special rule. There's nothing special about you. This member of parliament here stood up first on a point of order. He stood up first on a point of order. He must be recognized. He must be recognized.
Honorable members, may I ask both of you, Honorable Chief Whip and Honorable Malema,
there's
may
nothing
I ask
Chief
you
Whip
to
that
take
gives
your
you
seat?
power.
Can you
power
take your seat, Honorable Malema?
Nkandla stood up first on a point of order. Let Nkandla be recognized
please
first.
Take your seat.
But are you going to recognize us? Nkandla stood up on a point of order. You don't recognize him.
Honorable Rosie actually spoke until his own chief whip
against
stood
your
up.
wish. Against your wish.
Please take your seat, Honorable
Nkandla, you are recognized. Stand up on a point of order.
Thank you.
Please.
You are exercising fairness, Speaker. Recognize me on a point of order and address me as an equal member of this House.
Honorable Surti.
So they just rise, Bona.
But Speaker, how do
now we don't rise. We don't get
Honorable
recognized.
Surti, I recognize
he is not going
Bona, they just rise. It's
Honorable
nice.
Surti is not going to speak because we have Honorable Nkandla on the floor, which you don't want to recognize. So tell us, what do you expect from us? Because we want to respect you, but you don't respect us.
What
you
I
must
want
be fair.
from
You must
all
be fair in sharing
honorable
this meeting,
members
Speaker.
is for them to respect themselves and to respect the House. I now recognize Honorable Surti.
No, it's not so seven. President last time ezela ufika wadelela le parliament sizosebenza la walibela ukuhleka instead ukuthi asitshele ukuthi imali yankase kanti uzoyizisa nini sizosebenza la speaker sodalela kuthini please
Honorable Surti.
Honorable Speaker.
Enye into yihlazo
Honorable
leli uMangameli ningafuni uthi aphawule ngezinto ekufanele aphawule ngazo emphakathini. Siyacela ukuthi lapho ngaphambili ke nazi into uMangameli akuyena owenu ngoba kwalezi imali ezibuzwa ayibuzwa iEFF zibuzwa abantu umbuzo olokhu uphumile and uthula Madonsa lokho ekushila ukuthi washo ukuthi ayikhokhwe le mali yini izosenza indima thina la ngaphakathi kuthi into ekhona lithi ayikho thina sizele la kuzodlala asimzonda uMangameli inina nikhombisa ukuzonda uMangameli ngoba nifuna phendule umbuzo obuzwa iSouth Africa as a whole non-province ifuna i-answer kuphela balokho bekhuluma ngale ndlela yokuthi bavikela uMangameli akuyena uMangameli oweSouth Africa iSouth Africa ifuna ukwazi ukuthi imali yayo ibuya nini. That's all.
Honorable Speaker.
Akuliwa uMangameli akuboshwa abantu abangcono ababeyiseke ngenani intuthuko kwakhe asho ukuthi babedlala ngaye mangabe kunjalo.
Honorable members.
Honorable Speaker.
I will briefly suspend the business for purposes of asking the whips to meet in the Secretary's office.
No, but he must pay back the money whilst they are busy going to confer in that Chief's Whip's office.
President Nkandla do bina bopela rona fana a tshega ka ro.
Chief Whip, G26. Victor, what's the announcement? We're in suspension.
Hello. Honorable members, whips are being asked to meet at G26, just behind the National Assembly. The chief whips are being asked to meet at G26. The chief whips.
My lawyer said that
Please be seated. Honorable members, we suspended proceedings to allow the whips to consult. Before we proceed, I will allow the whips to report on their consultations. Honorable Deputy Chief Whip.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. We met in G26 as the whips of different political parties. Then we agreed, all parties agreed that we are going to continue with the proceedings of today, except for the EFF because they have their own demands. So the others are in agreement. The EFF want the President to apologize. They also want that peace deal they had with the Deputy President to be continued. So also another pending issue is the issue of Nkandla, that yes, all parties raised that. So we agreed that we are going to put that aside so that we deal with the business of today. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Chief Whip. Honorable Stianese.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, Section 57(1) of the Constitution sets out very clearly that we make internal arrangements in this House to conduct our business, and we have the rules that give effect to Section 57.1. This Parliament is one of the few institutions left in the country that has not been captured by the state, and it is that reason why we must protect and defend it. The President has insulted members of this House, the opposition. He's mocked people's accents, and he also made very light of the very burning issue of Nkandla, which still angers many South Africans. And I think this is most unfortunate because it has provoked members of the opposition in their behaviour in the House today. However, we as members of Parliament must protect and defend this institution. We must use this House to continue to hold President Jacob Zuma and his executive to account, and we do that by using motions in this House, calling for snap debates as we did this week, and using the oral question session which is provided for us today to do that. And so we certainly want the President to pay back the money, and we will continue through the ad hoc committee and our legal processes to ensure that the President pays back every cent. However, we fought very hard to get the President into this House today, and the only people that benefit when this House collapses are the President and the Executive. And that's why they laugh every time the House collapses, because they get away from being held accountable by the opposition. We have questions on the order paper today. They are in order. We want to put them to the President. We want to do the job that South Africans sent the Democratic Alliance here to do, which is to hold the President and his Executive accountable.
Are there any other Honourable Singh?
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, Honourable Members, whilst we agree with the gravity of the issues that have been mentioned by other political parties and the need that they need to be discussed and discussed by all of us in good faith, there are processes underway where we can have those kind of discussions. Yesterday we had a very acrimonious debate to decide on the business of the day for today, to such an extent that we had to vote on the, for what goes on the order paper today. We all agreed that the business of today should be questions to the President. We are here as the IFP to ensure that we ask follow-up questions to the President. The business of the House must proceed on the basis of today's order paper as printed. Thank you.
The Honorable Shibambu.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. You know, the founding principles of South Africa's democracy is separation of powers, amongst other things, but also the multi-party system of democracy. And we've made observations, we raised it with the chief whips, that it looks like the ruling party is steamrolling this parliament and using it as a rubber stamp of the executive. Yes. And in some instances, even replacing the powers of parliament, the powers of other institutions of democracy. Yes. Replacing all of those and the executive investigating itself, yes. Taking wrong decisions that are not constitutional. Yes. We are refusing, as this parliament, as members of parliament, as the EFF, we disagree with the approach which has been taken by the other parties in terms of this approach. We say that the president must not undermine the constitution, he must be accountable. He must come with a clear program on when is he going to pay back the money. We can't just sweep that issue under the pocket. We cannot be steamrolled through an undemocratic process, and we're party to that. That is why we're saying that the president must give us accountability in terms of when is he going to pay back the money. Not that report of the Minister of Police that says that the people of South Africa must spend more money on the enrichment of one person. We can't be steamrolled towards commission of corruption by a sitting head of state. We have seen many countries in Africa collapse because of protection of one individual. Yes. We cannot agree that this parliament be utilized to rubber stamp wrong decisions of this particular parliament. That is why we stand up here to say that we want the president to give us a definite answer on when is he going to pay back the money. Because there's a clear instruction about that and there's no confusion about it. So we need clarity in terms of that. We do not agree with a president who comes here and makes mockery of this institution, and makes mockery and tells jokes here about an important issue of corruption. The people of South Africa are the ones who are funding us here. They pay VAT every day, they pay taxes. They expect us to use that money to fund developmental programs, not security of one president, which is unjustifiably costly. The people of South Africa are not expecting us to be protecting chickens and cattle in Nkandla. Our message is clear, it's very clear that we want to be told as to when is it going to pay that money, and that is what we're standing here to demand. We're not begging, we're not asking, we're demanding, because we've been mandated by our people that the president must pay back the money, he must do so.
The Honorable Kubisa.
Speaker, we met this afternoon and seemingly it was clear that there are currents and undercurrents, serious issues that have to be attended to, and as a matter of urgency. And we feel that there should be a meeting to discuss these issues. Nkandla being one of them, and the jesting that happened previously should be discussed. However, His Excellency the President is here in terms of Rule 111, and also to fulfill his constitutional obligation to account to this Parliament, where the executive must account. As an NFP, we feel that for this prerogative must be used for the President to account, and we'll have follow-up questions. He has got to respond to the questions that we have.
The Honorable Mulder.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. It is quite clear that the problem this afternoon is caused by the whole Nkandla situation, if I put it that way. Colleagues refer to it as a burning issue. In lighter vein, seeing that the fire pool and the swimming pool is under consideration, we should perhaps not refer to it as a burning issue. But be that as it may. Honorable Speaker, the Constitution asks of us in Section 55 as the legislative arm of government And it says, in exercising its legislative power, the National Assembly must provide for mechanisms to ensure that all executive organs of state and the national sphere of government are accountable to it. Question time is exactly such an occasion. We cannot complain and say that the President does not come to Parliament to answer questions if we do not give him the opportunity to do so. We must do so. That does not mean, however, that we are necessarily satisfied with what was said up to this point with regard to Nkandla. But today, Nkandla is not on the order paper. At the next question time, the EFF will definitely have a chance in terms of rotation, and I suggest if any other party does not do so, that they put the Nkandla issue back on the agenda and ask that question, because we all want to know the answer. But in terms of today, I would suggest that we continue and do our duty in terms of the Constitution to keep the executive to account and proceed as soon as possible. Thank you.
The Honourable Dudley.
Speaker, the ACDP is committed to holding the President and his executive accountable, but we're committed to doing so within the rules of Parliament and through the processes. We do object to being held to ransom by one party. We do object to the attack on multi-party democracy coming from one party in the opposition, who actually stops all other parties from having any say or doing what we need to do in terms of holding the President and his executive to account. Thank you.
The Honourable Lekota.
Madam Speaker, it is very important that we underline the fact that we are expected to hold the executive as opposition to account. The problem we have today in this House is not caused by Nkandla. It is caused by the President and the party he leads. The President should be the first person to comply with the provisions of the Constitution. Therefore, when an institution empowered by the Constitution says that he must do certain remedial action, he should have done it. He is not above the law. He should have done it. No, he should have done it. The fact that he did not do it, the fact that his party is supporting him in refusing to comply with the Constitution, is the cause of the problem we are faced with now. In terms of our Constitution, one does not only need to have a majority, you must have a majority that complies with the provisions of the Constitution. Unless the majority leads guided by the provisions of the Constitution, which is the supreme law of our land, that majority is meaningless and irrelevant. Therefore, the President, if you want, look, as long as the President does not listen and follow the Constitution, no citizen can be held and compelled to comply with the Constitution. Many citizens will do what they choose to do because the principle of equality before the law means that the President is the first one to comply with the law. President Mandela would have said, I'm going to court even if I'm called by Louis late. I must go because I must be the first servant and obedient servant of the Constitution. We can't have this individual acting as he does like the boss in his own house. This country belongs to all of us, black and white. So everybody must comply with the Constitution. And until that happens, you will not have the collaboration and support of the majority of the people.
A point of order,
That's
Chair.
going to happen.
A point of order.
Yes, Honourable Zulu, what's the point of order? Order, Honourable members. Go on, Honourable Zulu, what's the point of order?
The point of order, Chair, is that you requested the chief whips to give us a report of their meeting. You gave us you asked them to give us a report on their meetings, but ultimately what we are listening to are statements, number one. Number two, the point of order is the fact that, Honorable Speaker, some members of the public did not come here to listen. They came here to support their parties. The issue here, Honorable Speaker, the issue is that, Honorable Speaker,
a point of order, Madam Speaker.
We respect.
A point of order, Madam Speaker. A point of order, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Kadi, I can't listen to 2 points of order.
It's a point of order over here, a point of order. She's out of order. Can I be listened to?
No, Honorable
She's addressing us and she was not part of the meeting.
No, Honorable Kadi.
She's out of order, Madam
Honorable
Speaker.
Kadi, please take your seat.
May I raise a point of order over here?
No, I'm not allowing you to raise a point of order on top of a point of order.
But she's out of order, Madam Speaker. Can you raise
tell
the
me
point
that
of order?
later. You will tell me that later when I observe.
When she finish speaking?
Yes.
Okay, no problem.
Honorable Zulu,
I was respectfully concluding, Honorable Speaker, that the House rules do not allow that members of the public should participate. That's the order, that's one of the issues that I'm raising, and that should be respected. Thank you.
Actually, even if I'll take you, Honorable Kadi. I would like to take the opportunity to appeal to our guests in the gallery, who indeed we are happy to have, but we would like to point out that members who are sitting in the gallery as our honorable guests are not allowed to participate in the proceedings of the House by clapping and doing anything that is a part and parcel of the proceedings of the House. Honorable Kadi.
Madam Speaker, the collapsing of the House can be in greater extent be also attributed to your office and your chair. You allow a point of order that is very frivolous from an honorable member that side. I don't want to call her Ginger as I hear. Now she says I'm talking nonsense, Madam Speaker. You don't even intervene very fast. This is the kind of ridicule and torture that we get from the ruling party members. May you please talk to her to withdraw that word nonsense before I proceed.
I didn't hear that. No, I actually didn't.
Madam Speaker.
Are you through, Honorable Kadi?
I can't be through until she withdraws her insults
Honorable
on me.
Kadi. No. No, Honorable Kadi.
Madam Speaker, maybe you will also rule on that concern that we have over her remarks that I'm speaking nonsense. In fact, we shall retaliate with that nonsense and tell her quite more insults than she has done to us. And I don't think that is what you want, Madam Speaker. But the fact of the matter is that she's out of order on what she has been telling the House. Please.
Honorable Zulu, did you say he was talking nonsense?
Honorable Speaker, yes, I did. I withdraw.
Thank you. Honorable members, if there are no other parties who want to give us a feedback, AIC.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. There are two issues here, to be or not to be. Honorable Speaker, it is clear, therefore, that the executive and the president have got to be held accountable to Parliament. That is clear. But in our meeting, I put it to all of them that it is important that today we continue with the business of the day as scheduled.
then this burning issue of Nkandla, as others may not regard it as a burning issue, but to the people, this is a burning issue. I propose that this Nkandla issue should be responded to when the president comes back to parliament, so that now the people or the nation should really get it clear from the president himself. I don't think the president has got a problem now to answer this question. It's very simple. Let us give him a chance once and for all. Then now we no longer talk about it. Thank you very much.
Honorable Trowama.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I'm going to be short. I think the business of the day must be allowed to continue, and His Excellency, the President, must be allowed to do his responsibility. The sooner we do that, the better. And I also want to say, Honorable Speaker, that I hope Honorable Misho must pray for us. I think respect has become a scarce resource in this parliament. And I just want to emphasize that we can draw our points across without being disrespectful. And I want to say, if all parties can act to protect this parliament, and first we become patriotic, we become South Africans. And I want to say that there are better ways. If you say somebody or Honorable President is wrong, which I share that view, but you must do it in a way that you show yourself as a better person. Because as much as you say is not, the President has done that and that, make sure that you live an exemplary life at the same time.
Honorable Maimane.
Thank you, Speaker. Without trying to confuse the discussion even more, Speaker, I think the President has been here. He's heard what the majority of the parties have been saying. There are 2 points that I think are important to note. The first is that I think in the main, South Africans recognize that we want to come here and proceed with the business. I think that shouldn't be denied. I think that must be fair and that must be granted. Yet at the same time, I think we mustn't lose track of the fact that the last time the President was here, we left on a note where the President, in fact, mocked the issue of Nkandla. And I think South Africans are offended by that. I think we mustn't deny that fact. So can I request, Speaker, honorable members, can I request, Speaker, everybody has spoken about this issue. I want to ask and appeal.
Order, honorable members. Order. Can you wrap up, Honorable Maimane?
I am, Speaker. I wanted to request that the President takes the podium. He can address first and foremost the issue that we're speaking about. We proceed with the questions. It's up to him what he wants to say to the people of this country. And I want us to afford him the opportunity if we can do that.
Honorable members, this House has a constitutional function. Honorable Malema, can you allow the chair to proceed now?
Yeah, before you make a ruling on how we're going to proceed. Because everybody has been given a chance here, so I think I must say.
No, the EFF was also given a chance.
But they spoke twice. They spoke twice.
Please proceed,
That is the
Honorable Malema.
problem, Honorable Speaker.
Proceed.
No, Honorable Speaker, we want to make a submission that the President will have to start with the Nkandla matter. You see, you are shaking your head, Honorable Speaker, even before I finish, because you've got a partisan position. And that is what collapsed this House. We'll never listen to anything from you because of party politics. The President will have to be answerable to this House. And this over-protection of the President has collapsed this House. You and the President rendered this institution useless. You can be guaranteed the President is going to have to answer that question today. Before we do any other, you can say no and all that, but the reality of the situation is that we are stuck at a point where the President will have to tell us when is he paying back the money? That's where we are. And any other intervention is not going to help, because the president, whatever answer is going to give on any question, he ridicules this parliament and he has undermined the process of accountability. We will never believe anything he says until he confirms that he will respect a constitutional institution in the form of a public protector, and he shall comply. He shall comply with the remedial actions of the public protector, and that the Nkandla report shall be sent to Nkandla's house for his kids to play with those video games he was showing on TV, because we don't recognize that thing Nkandla was doing. We are on public protection.
Point of order, Honorable Speaker. Can you allow a point of order from Ahang SA?
Oh, okay.
Honorable Tawama.
Honorable Speaker, we have just agreed from our meeting as whips that the president must be allowed to continue with the business of the day. And I believe that
a point of order, Madam Speaker. A point of order.
Most of the deliberations.
A point of order, Madam
Most of the
Speaker.
deliberations
He is misleading the House.
No, Honorable Kadi.
Can I assist you, Madam Speaker?
No, I don't want assistance, Honorable Kadi.
Let us help you, Madam Speaker. There was
I don't
never
need
an agreement
help, Honorable
in
Kadi.
the Chief Whip's forum. If there was any agreement, a suggestion was made that Whips must go and hold a caucus. After that, Whips must come back to the same room.
Can you allow another honorable member of the House? No, but you have to give him his chance to say what he wants to say. There are many things you say where others disagree with you.
We'll come back.
Please let Honorable Tawama proceed.
Honorable Speaker, I said we have made statements. A majority of parties have made statements that the business of the day must continue today.
Honorable Speaker, there is no point of order from that member. Honorable Malema is on platform, and that member stood up on a point of order, which he does not have. Speaker.
Honorable Maxine.
My point of order was, let's allow the business of the day to continue, for the president to answer questions, and if they
that point of order is sustained. Babu Shenge.
Honorable Speaker, I propose that we vote on the matter whether we proceed according to today's program or not. I propose that the matter be put to a vote. That's how democracy works.
Honorable Speaker, whether you vote or you don't vote, we are going to ask the president the same question. And that question doesn't depend on voting here. We are not voting cattle. We are not here to vote. We are here to debate.
Honorable Speaker, may I please address you?
Where's the girl? Please bring back the girl. Bring back the girl.
Honorable Speaker.
Honorable members, can we respect ourselves? Can we respect ourselves? Can we respect the House? Can we respect the people of South Africa?
Speaker. Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, please. Ubana ngaba sifuna lendlu ibuyele kulambo ibikuyo nokubana awufuni iyehlele kwisimo engafuni usona qala ngabantu beANC ubaxolele bamba ba withdraw. What girl are they talking about? Bring back whose girl? Who is saying that? Which girl must be brought back? If you don't ask them to withdraw that, then this House is going to deteriorate.
Honorable members, in fact, I was interrupted as I was saying This House has a constitutional function to undertake according to the rules that are in place in terms of which matters are raised. There is a questions procedure in the rules book which regulates both oral and written questions. Parties have opportunities in terms of the rules to ask questions. Today's question session is being held in terms of that procedure. And honorable members, according to that procedure, we have been processing the issue of the questions that are on the question paper, and we will now proceed. And I recognize the President.
Honorable Chair, just please may I address you?
No.
We are going to
I
allow
do not want you to address me because we are now proceeding.
Now all the time when I stand, you don't want to recognize me.
Honorable Dozy, please take your seat.
I want to take my seat, but I'm rising on a point of order.
No.
Madam Chair.
Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker.
No, honorable member, I won't recognize you. I've now, for the second time, called the President to answer questions that are on the question paper.
Madam Speaker, lilungelo lam nam.
Hayi sis, awunalungelo
Madam Speaker, lilungelo lam nam andimoshi lilungelo lam sisi.
Uyamosha.
Lilungelo lam ndikhulule.
Awunalo ilungelo
Kutheni ndingenalo
lokuphula imithetho yeParlamente.
Andophula imithetho.
Uyawophula.
Somlomo andophula imithetho.
Uyawophula.
Bavumele bonke kutheni mina ungandivumeli?
Because akusafanelanga ndikuvumele according to the rules.
Mamela ke somlomo wam.
Andifuna ukubamela sisi.
Okay, ngizawuthetha.
Ndicela uhlale phansi.
Sisatsho ke thina sithi.
Ndicela uhlale phansi sisi.
Okokuba ngaba lempendulo siyifunayo kulotata ayikho.
Honorable member, can you please take your seat?
Akukazuba right kulendlu yakho ukuba ngaba lotata akakaphenduli. Isizwe
Honorable member,
namhlanje sisabukele.
If you don't want to take your seat, Honorable Sonti, can you please take your seat? If you don't, I will have to ask you to leave the house. Honorable Sonti, can you please enable the House to proceed with this business? Honorable Sonti, can I call on the Sergeant at Arms
recognize me
to assist that honorable member who has no intention to allow the House to proceed with its work to please leave the House?
Please be honest to the people of South Africa. He does not even respect the constitution of this country. Mr. President, please respect the constitution. You are not above the law. Last time when we were here, you did not speak well about the Nkandla issue.
Honorable Mashabela, I never recognized you for a start.
Issue a joke. Nkandla, Maibabo, the poor president. When are you going to pay back the money? This is a matter of national interest. The people of South Africa want to know, when are you going to pay back the money? Please, be honest to the people of South Africa. Your own people, your own country, Mr. President.
Madam Speaker, may we assist you?
Honorable members, we can't continue like this.
Madam Speaker, I want to assist you.
No, I don't need your assistance, Honorable Good. We can't proceed
On a
like
point
this.
of order, Madam
No,
Speaker.
honorable member.
Madam Speaker, the point of order is when you suspended this
Honorable
sitting,
member.
you requested us to go and meet, and in that meeting there was never an agreement.
We
suggested
received the reports from the chief whips,
report
and
should
we
have been
know
given
exactly
back in
what
that-
they
in that
decided.
room.
But there are honorable members in those benches that don't want to allow the House to proceed with its business.
It is not true, Madam Speaker. It is in bad faith that the whips of the
Honorable
ruling party
Kadi.
are doing what they did. A suggestion was made that after the caucuses, we must go back to that room. They must report on the issues that were raised. They are refusing to go back to that room to report on what they have discussed in their caucuses. We will not be having this problem if they have reported there and we come back here, we have found each other. And now they are misleading you, Madam Speaker, in the House that there was an agreement. If there was any agreement, it was that after the caucuses, whips are going to meet and deal with the issues that come out of the caucuses on the matters that have been raised. Is the president going to apologize for his racist gesture on that particular day when he made gestures on accent of people? That was very racist. They should have reported back to the whips whether he is going to apologize or not. They did not convene the whips forum again to report back on the outcome of the party caucuses. If there's anything good that can be done now, is, Madam Speaker, you request the whips to go and report there, so that if we don't find each other, so be it, we'll come back and see what happens, Madam Speaker. That was in bad faith.
I would like to say that it is very clear that there are honorable members who are determined to block the business of the House from proceeding.
Honorable Speaker.
I also want to say, honorable members, that
Honorable Speaker,
this is in disrespect to the people of South Africa who voted for all of us.
I don't think you are helping, Speaker. Honorable Lukota raised a very important point of equality before the law.
The majority of the whips
in
made
terms
it
of the
clear
rule,
that their decision was that
in
we
terms
should
of the
proceed.
Constitution, the public protector's
there
report,
are members
it is
who
the
are
report that
determined
everybody must respect. It's all what we're asking,
disrupt the
Speaker,
House.
please. It is not our intention to disrupt, but to raise a point, the constitutional issue. The president must be able to respect the Constitution. The Public Protector's Office is one of the institutions which supports the Constitution. So please, equality before the law is something that we need to observe, all of us, irrespective of our responsibilities.
Yes, Honorable Pando.
Speaker. Order. Speaker. Order. On a point of order, Speaker. Honorable Speaker, you can't do that. Honorable Speaker, you can't do that. You can't do that. It is wrong. We are equal here. We are equal. You can't do that. You can't do that. If you are going to recognize the super minister, you must recognize all of us.
Pay back the money. Pay back the money.
Pay back the money. Pay back the money.
Honorable Speaker.
Pay back the money.
Honorable members, we will hear it. Honorable members, I have exercised patience. I have implemented the rules. It's clear that there are those who will not cooperate. And at this point, I'm sure the only thing is that we direct what it is we need to do with this kind of behavior to the relevant structures of Parliament. But honorable members, it must be clear also to the public that there are those who have come to this Parliament to undermine the will of the people of South Africa. And therefore, at this point, because honorable members, we can't go on like this, I would like the House to be adjourned until we take a different decision.
Madam Speaker, on a point of order. Madam Speaker, on a point of order. Madam Speaker, you can't close the House yet. The mace is still there. Members who are leaving are disrespecting the House. The mace is still there. Madam Speaker.
Can the mace be taken out of the House?
Madam Speaker, I'm on the floor.
Honorable Steenhuisen, I have adjourned the House.
You have not, Madam Speaker.
Please,
Madam Speaker, you have not adjourned the House. Madam Speaker.
Nonsense.
Madam Speaker.
Nonsense.
Can you remove the mace?
Madam Speaker, the House has not adjourned. The mace is still there. I want to be heard.
Nonsense.
Madam Speaker, are you in control of your House?
Nonsense.
Madam Speaker, are you in control of your House? Madam Speaker, the only winner today has been President Zuma and the executive, who've once again got away from accountability. You don't have your answer. We don't have our answers. The people of South Africa don't have an answer. What is going on in this Parliament?
Mayor Baby Kyawa, as well as Advocate Modibeti Pindela. We have got the House Chairperson with us, responsible for international relations, Mayor Boroto, and also we have got the Secretary to the National Assembly, Ntate Xhaso Masipulele Xhaso, seated behind her. With all protocol observed, I am now going to invite the Speaker of the National Assembly to address us. Mayor Speaker, over to you, ma'am.
Thanks very much, Luzuko, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen of the media. Well, today's briefing really is straightforward because I'm quite sure a number of you are aware of what happened this afternoon. It started at the start of the sitting at 2 o'clock, where the EFF really rolled out a surprise plan of disrupting the sitting by raising issues about Nkandla and so on, which matters, as we all know, are at the center of a process of an ad hoc committee presently in Parliament, which every party is participating in. Or if they don't participate, it's really based on their own decision not to participate. So a long time was taken after an adjournment to allow whips of parties to consult on how best to move forward in order that the House should proceed with its business. And at the end of that long time, it was definitely more than an hour, on getting back to the House, whips of various parties themselves reported how they felt that, yes, they agree with the EFF when it comes to their passion about the issues relating to Nkandla, but that they also wanted to proceed with their right to hold the president accountable by ensuring that the question session proceeds. Of course, the rest, of course, is something that, again, you observed, because they had their chance to also speak, the EFF, that is, and every other party who wanted to speak about what had gone on in the consultation of the whips. And mainly, the majority of parties wanted the question session to proceed. It soon became very clear that the EFF was not going to cooperate. It was not going to allow the question session to proceed. No matter how much patience was exercised from the chair and appealing to observation of the rules, in the end, there was no other way but to adjourn the session in order for us to go back to the drawing boards and very quickly apply the minds through the structures of Parliament, the appropriate structures in Parliament, as to how to proceed beyond this day. You know, having a question session is something that takes a long time to organize. When finally we have everybody relevant for the questions to be answered, to say the least, it's very sad for it to collapse like this because of a party that represents 6% of the vote, even when all the other opposition parties have themselves expressed how strongly they felt both about the issues on Nkandla but also about going ahead with the question session. So that's where we are. We have adjourned. We just thought you should hear our perspective and you should feel free to ask questions so that we can clarify any matter that needs to be clarified. So we can go back to the structures and go back to taking decisions about what next. I will allow the other presiding officers to add whatever they wish to add. Madam Chair, Deputy Speaker.
No, Madam Speaker, I think the only point I really want to emphasize is that unless the institution is run according to agreement by the majority of parties, because we are a multi-party institution, it will be difficult to do anything else. If we allow disagreement with what the majority of the parties agree to derail the work of Parliament. That is at the heart of what we need to solve, so that all of us must play by the rules, presiding officers, members, political parties, so that the outcome of what happens here is the result of procedures and rules that we have ourselves adopted. To throw those rules out is a dangerous thing, and we shouldn't allow it. We have said before that what is at stake is a democratic method of decision-making that must be protected, which is what is under attack in what we saw happening in the House. We think it is possible to stop that, and we should do so without hesitation as soon as possible. It is urgent that we do that, otherwise the impression is created that Parliament is not able to deal with its affairs, and that's not what is going to happen. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much to the presiding officers. The Speaker did indicate a willingness on the part of the presiding officers to enter into a conversation with you about what happened this afternoon by way of you asking questions. So we'll take a round of questions. Please identify yourself, the media house you represent, and ask a question. We'll take a round of a few questions. Chantal, Sbu, Lester. All right, thank you very much.
Hi, just a question for the presiding officers. I'm Chantal from the African News Agency. Mr. Tsunudi, you said it was possible to prevent our democratic principles from coming under attack. What are you going to do about it? I mean, what's the next step?
Esther from ENCA. Madam Speaker, if you had the authority to call the Sergeant at Arms to remove any unruly member, why did you not take or exercise that right to calling the Sergeant at Arms to remove any member that you thought was being unruly?
Hi, it's Siyabonga Mkhwanazi from Independent Newspapers. Just wanted one question. Will there be any disciplinary action taken against people who are involved in disrupting proceedings today?
That is the first round of questions. We'll afford the presiding officers an opportunity to address those issues before we proceed. Over to you, Madam Speaker.
Can you just repeat the first question, Chantal?
What is the way forward from here? I mean, what are you going to do? You're saying our democratic principles are under attack, and how do you stop this?
Thank you very much. To be able to, the structures that have been created in Parliament are such that parties, by discussion, consultation, democratically to arrive at decisions. And where there's a problem of disagreement of one kind or another, and a party wishes to object That is normally noted, but if the party insists on having a vote on that, they will demand that that matter be handled that way. So the House, in plenary, such as it happened yesterday during a motion that was suggesting how matters must be dealt with today, took a vote. That's the democratic way of handling things. Now, if we are prevented from doing that, it means we must look at what happened and who was wrong in how they approached this thing, and then we must call on the rules to answer those questions. And that's what's going to happen. To apply the rules, and if they are not adequate, to consider reinforcing them so that we can strengthen our ability to handle that stuff. And that's the first, at the most basic point. We have continued to try to persuade, to use persuasion, to say, we do not have to agree, but we don't have to stop the proceedings of the House. Let's take steps to consider all options, including processes and so on. This is why the Speaker, in a number of instances, has called all parties to consult them on how to handle some of these matters in a manner that will satisfy them, as she did, for example, ahead of the report that the Minister of Police came here. They were consulted because that's a sensible democratic way of handling difficult issues. We don't arbitrarily, on our own, make decisions about that. Now, when people reject and act outside of those parameters, then it means that we must find ways that are according to the rules that will enable us to proceed with the work of the House without allowing them to stop the work of Parliament. That's what we are going to be looking at. The inadequacies that we are noticing in our ability to enforce the rules will obviously receive huge attention so that we enable ourselves as the House to enforce the rules of the House, and that no one party must be able to railroad things in the House. There must always be things done in accordance with the rules. So we will consider a variety of methods that are available to us to enforce democratic running of Parliament.
I want to start off by saying, I think embedded in the very concept of Parliament is the acknowledgement that we all come from different places, different perspectives, different political parties, you know, different ways of doing things or understanding things. So that's a given when we come to Parliament, to become one collective of these members that come from these different places, but who must come here, and precisely because that is acknowledged, we have rules that are about enabling us, in spite of our differences, to talk to one another, to differ, to engage, to find ways of doing things together in the interest of South Africa. So I think it's important for us to factor that into our understanding of the institution, of, you know, the assumptions as we come here that inform our approaches to working together. That's why we have the structures that we have, including the Chief Whips Forum, which meets very regularly precisely to allow these different perspectives to be put on the table, to be engaged with, to be accommodated, and for ways to be found for us to move forward. So I think I want to start with that. Now, is there going to be a disciplinary hearing? I said earlier that we will leave this press briefing, put our heads together, find the best way forward. Find the best way forward. I mean, part of what was done this afternoon is that more than an hour was spent with whips of different parties trying to persuade one another as to the best way to move forward. But of course, a minority in that meeting is, at this point, who has disrupted the business of the day, and in fact, we've been, we've had to adjourn without having started with the business of the day. I did call the Sergeant at Arms at some point. I did, and in fact, I was told by the Secretary of the National Assembly that she made an effort to indeed implement her part of what normally is expected to help us deal with these situations. But part of the way forward is we will re-look at that capacity, the capacity of the Office of the Sergeant at Arms. If you look around the world, you will know that many parliaments are a lot more capacitated in relation to that office to enable the work of Parliament not to be disrupted. And I think that's part of what we have to engage with.
Thank you, presiding officers. Do we have a second round? Wendell? Paul? Rahima?
Sorry, the question on disciplinary proceedings. Siyabonga's question. Sorry, could you answer that, please?
There were clearly a number of people who simply rose and spoke without being recognized. And incidentally, this is not the first time they do that. And the problem of disrespecting, disobeying, because this respect is also often distorted. When you deny the authority of the referee, you can't continue to play for a long time. Very soon you get a red card. That's normal in any rule-based organization. We are a rule-based organization. If you violate the rules of the House, you must face the consequences of such violation. And their nature, including questions of aggravation, will be looked at so that those matters are dealt with by the appropriate structures. It is necessary to do that. It's part of what we refer to as the necessity to enforce the rules of the House. Because even where in previous instances these matters were overlooked and not acted upon, it seems that there's a need for us to urgently attend to it strongly, perhaps more than we've done before, so that we clear this, that there's an understanding that no rule-based organization can operate effectively without them being respected and adhered to. Otherwise, we are slipping into a very problematic manner. And unfortunately, also members of Parliament who swore and took an oath to obey the law, including the Constitution, are themselves openly saying that they will not adhere or agree with and or follow the rules and that nothing will happen rightly in the House until what they want to see happening gets done. Now, you can't literally tell the entire Parliament that it's your way or no way. That's absolutely unheard of. It can't be allowed to happen.
Okay, thank you very much.
Wendell from Reuters. I just want to find out from the presiding officers, spoke now, the Deputy Speaker. Do you accept that in a closed environment, bureaucracy, rule-based norms can be used to stifle debate? That rules can be used to enforce a particular hegemony, particularly in an environment where there is such a large majority in this case, of the ruling party. Second question: do you not think that a punitive sort of the stick versus the carrot, or whatever the case may be, a punitive approach, enforcement, is actually going to lead to a situation of exacerbating this current impasse that we have now? That things are just going to get worse and not better. The third question relates, I mean, you mentioned the referee. Now, the referee has emerged in this, and this, I mean, I don't want to flog a dead horse. Madam Speaker Mbete has spoken about this previously. But certainly the perceived biasness on the part of the Speaker, who is supposed to be an independent person in terms of the rules of Parliament, is also now emerging as a constant refrain amongst particularly the EFF. Not asking whether the Speaker would countenance possibly recusing herself, but how do you build that trust again? How do you get into a situation where the two teams that are playing on the field, to use your sporting metaphor, respects the referee? There isn't a separate censor that rules that the referee heard by allowing the try, or the goal was offside, or whatever the case may be.
Thank you, Wendell.
Yeah.
I think the point has been made. Rahima? You covered. Okay. Thank you.
Can I quickly say the following point? You chose the rules approach that I mentioned. I did say expressly that the original orientation was a political approach, to use persuasion, to call people to meetings to talk about, we've got a difficult report that we have in our hands. How do we manage it so that we handle it properly in Parliament, because it is our responsibility collectively to hold the executive to account. That's a political approach. That's not a punitive approach. Now, you need both. Unfortunately, in any rule-based organizations, the potential for use, for abuse, as you say, is both ways, theoretically, because others can use them not only to refuse to play by the rules, because they have no intention to do so in the first place, because they have also indicated so right from the onset, did not make it a secret that they are not going to play by the rules. So when a house that has historically, traditionally is based on the rules, is confronted with that phenomenon, there's very little room if political persuasion fails, if it appears it is failing, to use the other rule. Both must work together. Both persuasion, political imploring of all members of Parliament to see this. And in this instance, it's not the majority that is insisting on the rules alone. It's the majority of political parties. In other words, out of the 13 political parties, one says no. It heads the other way direction. The entire 12 goes the opposite direction. It's the majority of political parties. So it's a very different thing from imposing the ANC hegemony, if that's the insinuation, well intended to illustrate an important point about the possibility for abusing rules and so on. But in this instance, it's a question of, I mean, I'm sure you would have listened to yourself and heard what other political parties' frustration was with being prevented from holding the executive to account, which as presiding officers, we have a responsibility to ensure it happens. So that's the part that I think we were dealing with and we were being frustrated about. That if we can't use persuasion, what else is there for us to advance this thing properly? No method must be given priority above all the others. All of them must work together to produce a good results. Even in sports, referees' bias, for one reason or another, is no justification for violating football rules. Even your own coach will throw you out if you constantly do that. You can't depend on the hand of God every time. You are going to be taken out because it is incorrect, because you are no longer being fair, okay? Because the game is meant to be played fairly at all times. Otherwise, you risk the reputation of those you represent. As members of Parliament, when people see people behaving that way, they don't say it's that party, they say MPs. All of us. So that's the problem that we're confronted with, that we need to be able to handle those issues in that manner. The obligation to persuade and be persuaded is a responsibility not only of the majority party or of the majority parties, it is a responsibility of the minority party as well, to persuade and be persuaded. If you refuse to be persuaded, not once, not twice, every time, really, something is wrong there.
I think we must also look at how the rules of parliament are arrived at. All parties, all whips are represented at the rules of either and both houses' rules committees. Parties that are smaller in number to have whips are allowed to have representatives. And the only thing they can't do is vote, and hardly ever do you vote at rules. All parties had, at any time, a chance to make amendments, to propose new rules. So it is not, it cannot even be conceived that the majority will always use the rules, because all the rules are agreed to by all parties. Now, the other question you put is whether the Speaker should consider recusing herself from what? There is a particular political party that accuses the Speaker of being biased. For that matter, that accuses the chairperson of the NCOP for being biased. The system of South Africa says that the party that wins nominates, gets its people elected into those positions. It has been like that since 1994. It is something which was discussed right at the beginning, even before we elected our first democratic government. So it is not new, and I do not think that when there is an issue that needs to be faced on, we should actually say, no, 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 because you are so-and-so and you come from the majority party, therefore. The fact of the matter is that the authority of the National Assembly vests with the Speaker of the National Assembly. And therefore, it is not true that all members of the National Assembly are equal, because there is one person who is the authority in the National Assembly. Our rules are crafted to satisfy that provision of the Constitution. I think it is section 57. It enables us to come out with rules to do our internal business. If the internal business is unconstitutional, of course the parties do take the liberty to take us to court. But once they have tested and they are satisfied, then we are all bound equally by the rules we have adopted. When a presiding officer exercises the same rules we have agreed to, he or she cannot be said to be biased. And of course, we must ensure that at all times we impart whatever rulings as blindly as we can across the parties and across the members of the House. And that is what we strive to do. So I would say that the last question you put to us, the carrot and the stick, wouldn't you agree that, in fact, today there was a lot of patience exercised? That, yes, the Speaker would have remembered that she is still within her rights as the authority of the NA to have said they are disobeying, they are not heeding the instructions to have used the security. We didn't. She didn't. Very deliberately, because in fact, maybe we thought it is high time that South Africa has sight of what we are going through. Now, you may look at it as a very simple thing, but the attack on Parliament is the attack on the third leg of the state. And that for us becomes important because that for us says that South Africans must begin to wake up and smell the coffee.
Thank you very much. Do we have a final round? Okay, second helpings for Lester. Is there any other hand? There's no other hand, so Lester, yours will be the final question.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. You preempted my question by asking, not prejudging or not giving my own opinion on it. Was the Speaker wary of calling in the security forces as she did during the State of the Nation?
Of course, I'm not in the mind of the Speaker. But I think that decision is always taken with a lot of consideration and a lot of circumspection. And I think today, when the National Assembly broke and the whips wanted to discuss, the Speaker was correct in allowing the whips, who are responsible, by the way, for the disciplines and the attendance within their parties, to deliberate and to bring solutions, precisely because any other action might have been misinterpreted as the presiding officers shielding the president from responding. And I'm sure we are all happy because one by one those parties came back to say, we want the president to be held account, we want our time to ask the questions, and it is question time today. So the Speaker did very well in not going to the last resort. And calling in the security, I think, in our mind is always the last resort. We want to talk, we want to negotiate, we want parties to lobby. We want to get to solutions without having to resort to what the gentleman there said is the stick.
Okay, Jan.
Chair, firstly, my apologies for being late. You will know it's not my way, but my colleagues are not in Cape Town, so I had to first do my job, which is to send copy. And I don't know what your own decisions were here, but I'm just surprised that the chair of the NCOP is answering the question on behalf of the Speaker, whom I do not know to be so timid as to not to be able to speak her own mind. So I wondered whether it would be fair to ask Lester's question, correctly, as the chair said, she can't be in your head, Madam Speaker. What happened in your head and what were you thinking about calling or not calling the security people?
I know the Speaker will answer, but please remember, Parliament's executive authority is the Speaker of the National Assembly and the chairperson of the National Council of Provinces. What affects this House affects Parliament, and therefore there is no way anything that happens in the National Council of Provinces, the Speaker can say, I am not affected as Parliament. We are all affected.
The presiding officers came here this afternoon to address the media collectively, as we have done in the past. And, there's no pre-decision that you will handle this, you will handle that. We simply come, say what we have to say, allow questions to come, and the one who, feels they want to answer has the freedom to do that. And, once you've said what you've said, and really there's no need for another person to repeat it, that's how we deal with, how we engage with other people, because we work as a collective. We have structures where we meet regularly as presiding officers to share perspectives about the work we do, to even discuss rules, and whatever challenges that the institution might be facing. So, about the question of whether the question of throwing members out came through my mind, no. It's always an option at the back of our minds, because indeed we have that option according to the law. The powers, privileges, and immunities of Parliament and provincial legislatures definitely provides for us to take certain steps should we reach a point where we believe we need to do that. But under the circumstances, it didn't pose itself as an option today. And it also helps to be able to allow certain occurrences to unfold, to allow not only members of Parliament, political parties that are represented here, but also the public to observe for themselves and to reach their own understanding, grapple with the issues, because although we are brought here through being elected by people, by the electorate, we also know that South Africans are very highly politicized. They have an understanding of what's going on out there and in politics, and in particular in this fifth term, we know they're observing proceedings of Parliament. So sometimes it's good to allow the public to observe occurrences, and hopefully they would also make comments and will enrich our own grappling with these issues.
Please. Sorry, Madam Speaker. Earlier on I heard you and you confirmed what you said in the House. You did call for the Sergeant at Arms, which means that you did consider removing them.
That's not calling the police.
But that was the first step, certainly, in the process to have them removed.
I did, but I didn't consider calling the police to throw people out, no.
10 steps to bake a good cake. So, I don't question my being a cook. I'm saying there are 10 steps to bake a good cake. Sometimes you may choose to reduce them to see what the effect is on the nature of the cake you are baking. No, the point I want to raise really now, you won't eat it. What are you saying? If flour is what we are going to use to do that. No, the point I want to raise now is I want to go back to the question about the Speaker and perceptions of her bias. You see, the credibility of that story is also made difficult by the fact that soon, even before she sat on her seat, she was already targeted by all political parties because she's a chairperson of the African National Congress. So that's the first point I want to make. But subsequently, all of us in conducting our business in the House, now and then there are decisions that we will make that we will reconsider, because we could have taken different decisions about those instances and so on, because there are people who, members who repeatedly do the same thing, every day the same thing. Now, one of the options we have is to say, no, we don't allow you anymore to do this. Oh, you are being biased, why not me? Because every day this is what you do. You speak without being recognized. You speak without pointing out what rules you are speaking under. You always want to give us the state of address of your seat without reference to the rules. Really? I mean, like, those kind of things are irritating, and we are human beings, and it must be necessary for us now and then to do that, to point out to them that we don't accept that, and we will not allow them to speak. And of course, they are biased, they are biased. Of course I have to be biased against you if you are a constant violator of the rules. That's my personal position, and that's how I would handle a person who behaves like that in the House. The other important, and this is the rules. You see, as chairs, in presiding. The difficulty we have, there are people who are very angry at us allowing what is happening in the House, including members of parliament themselves who are very frustrated and angry about us, in their opinion, allowing what is happening here, and calling on us to take stronger measures and so on. And I'm talking about members of all political parties who have expressed it, possibly to yourself already, about their own frustrations about the need to take stronger action, that Parliament should long have taken stronger actions and so on. I'm pointing that out to suggest to you, members of the media, that the task of conducting our affairs in here depends on us in the House collectively agreeing to use the rules. Stepping outside of the rules in a problematic manner creates problems. We've got structures in Parliament where such perceptions must be taken to the structures of Parliament to handle. To hear that they've been submitted, these are the submissions about the conduct of the Deputy Speaker, of his bias on the following matters, ABC. We would like the committees that deals with these matters to deal with this instance and so on. So that those structures must deal with those issues. That's what they are designed for. Now, if you go outside of Parliament, instead of doing that, it means, in fact, even if there may be partially true that there is bias, but indeed you never intended in any way to use the structures of Parliament to resolve the problems. And this is our problem, that we are confronting a difficult issue of handling members of Parliament, as I said before, who constantly, deliberately do not want to obey the rules. We would prefer sometimes to have discussions. We'll also notice when we introduce the new rules, when they do come at a certain stage, for people to speak without reference to the rules. Except the most basic ones, the most basic that enables that when you speak, someone else must not be speaking as you speak. I mean, that's ridiculous. It's so basic it hurts to even think about it, which is what is happening here.
And with a point of information, in case you haven't noticed, we are involved in the process of reviewing the rules, and it's all of us, all political parties. Part of the difficulty is that I'm sure members of the public who observe and follow what's happening in Parliament, even members of our political parties who are not here, who are out there, who are watching Parliament and are as frustrated as the members sitting in all the benches here about the goings on here, sometimes don't understand how slow or why the process is so slow. And the process is slow because it is a highly consultative one. And in between, apart from allowing work to be done at a technical level, before it is brought to the subcommittee of the rules, is because you need to commit members. You need to allow them the time to think about issues. You need to allow for a process where the majority of parties or members who are involved in this process are agreed on one way, but there's another one who doesn't agree. You give the space to try and persuade one another. You also allow parties to then, once the issues have moved from that first technical level, coming up to the subcommittee level, having discussed, having heard what the differences are, still allow members to go back to their caucuses, explain the issues at their caucuses, bring them back. We've now finished the 15 chapters of the rule book in terms of that process. What remains is that we have to go back to all caucuses, starting with the biggest one, take members on board, give them a chance to come on board in terms of advising or making inputs. But we are determined and we are committed that before the end of this year, we will be finished with this consultative process. And as soon as that is done, we will have the new rules on the basis of which the majority of parties that are here or members that are here sitting in the benches will have agreed on how to proceed. And that will be the new set of rules. Until such time as we've reached that point, the rules as they are determine how we work, and we have to respect that, and we are committed to that. I think, Luzuko, I hand over to you.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I don't see any hands. The chairperson of the press conference cannot be continuously defied. We must stick to our rules. It's important, but maybe we take the final hand, final two hands. There will be no other hands after Andiswe and Lucanio Kalata.
Thank you so much.
With the intelligence presiding officers. Thank you very much.
Thank you. No, I would like to find out from presiding officers.
Can you speak closer to the mic,
okay,
please?
Sorry. There was a ruling by the Western Cape High Court on Section 11 of the powers and privileges, saying I think it's too broad and it's unconstitutional. I don't know if Parliament has appealed that ruling or is it planning to appeal that ruling. Thank you.
Final question, Lucanio.
All right, thank you very much. I would maybe just a matter of procedure. What happens now in terms of the President coming back to respond to questions within the National Assembly? Are we going to have to kind of wait for him to come back with another date to say, okay, I can make it to the National Assembly on this day? Or will the National Assembly ask him to come back maybe next week, maybe next month? What happens with him coming back to actually fulfill the obligation of answering questions today? Thank you.
I want to point out that the process of finding dates in the President's diary is not a smooth sailing process. But you will know that at this point, there were a set of dates up to the end of the year. So we will just go accordingly to the next opportunity, but we would deal with the issues of today in such a manner that they don't threaten our ability to, in fact, effect our right and responsibility to have questions by the president for the president to answer, and him actually fulfilling that. I think the secretary will deal with the issues of the case.
Thank you very much, Speaker. The simple answer to that is Parliament is on record as having said that it will appeal that particular decision. You'll note that the decision has a suspensive clause in the sense that it is referred to the Constitutional Court, and until such time that the Constitutional Court has made a determination, it's only then that we will say that that particular decision is upheld. So at this point in time, we are in the process of appealing that case.
Thank you very much, Speaker, Chairperson, Deputy Speaker. Much appreciated. Thanks to you two, ladies and gentlemen. The briefing is adjourned. She's from City Press, formerly.
You have no authority to question my cooking skills.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
David.